Hi, you, and welcome back to The Bridge. I hope you are well. If it's your first time here, my name is Lindy, and today we're starting with a new week of videos. And the topic for this week is group work in university. So, we're going to be talking about everything regarding group work, about how it works in university, the types of people that you're going to meet in university group work. We're going to talk about peer assessment reviews. This is a system in university where you basically mark or assess the progress and participation of other group work members. And then we're going to talk about do's and don'ts when it comes to group work, how to behave, how not to behave, things to do, things not to do. But you'll see throughout the week where we go. But today we're just gonna start with the foundation, with the background, and talk about just group work in university. First of all, yes, there is going to be group work in university, and some modules you'll have group work and some modules you won't. It completely depends on the lecturer and the types of assessments that lecturer gives. There's two types of groups that you're likely to be in. Depending on the lecturer, depending on the module, you'll either be given the option to choose your own group members. So the lecturer will say, okay guys, get into groups of 4, and you're going to choose who you want to be in a group. And then the people who haven't found groups, the lecturer will usually then allow those people to kind of find each other, and then the people who haven't found groups will be put into their own group. That's usually quite nice because then you can choose people that you're familiar with, you can choose people that you're friends with in that module. But then the second type of forming a group, which is what I'm going to be focusing these next coming videos on, is where the lecturer assigns group members for you. So I don't exactly know how they assign members, but I think it's like a very random system. Some of them do it alphabetically. So they'll literally take like the first five names, like surnames A, first five, second five, third five, fourth five. So some lecturers randomize it in that way. Other lecturers, they go according to student numbers, but basically you're assigned, you're put into a group where it's completely random. There is a small chance of you being in a group with someone that you know, and it's likely that you'll be placed in a group where you don't know anyone else. This leads to the second point, which is when doing group work in university, you're going to meet different personalities. There are going to be different people in one group, and that's okay. You don't have to like everyone. Sometimes you're going to be in group work with personalities that you wouldn't prefer to be friends with. You wouldn't, if given the option, you wouldn't be friends with this person, and that's okay. You're going to be in group work with some personalities that if you're a quiet person, you might be with someone that you find is very dominating, even though they don't intend to be that way. You're going to be with quiet people, talkative people, people who are really good at what they're doing, people who are really struggling at that module, people who are going to give so much effort, and people who are going to give very little effort. You're going to be in groups with very different people, and be patient with people, but don't allow people to get away with anything and everything, right? But that's just to say there's going to be different types of people, different personalities. Learn to embrace each other's strengths rather than to focus and camp at each other's weaknesses. Also, regarding personalities that clash, remember that group work is temporary, right? I know sometimes you get assigned to a group as long as a year. Hopefully you're not in that situation. Sometimes those things do happen and they go well, sometimes they don't. But usually group work is at most a month, right? Because assignments they usually give a month or two for the assignment to be submitted. So it's going to be a short period of time where you communicate with these people about this assignment. So just know that even though there are differences, like, don't get into a fight or anything, because it's just a month. Just get the work done, just get the assignment submitted. That is the number one priority of group work, is get the assignment submitted and get it done well. Get it done and get it done well. Or beef, I mean, after that assignment is submitted, the beef will just dissipate and dissolve, and there'll just be no issues, because then you guys don't have to communicate with each other anymore. The third thing is, in university, there is such a thing as a peer assessment review. I forgot the exact name for it, but it could have different names depending on the institution that you're at or the course that you're doing. But basically, this is a system where at the end of the assignment, you get the opportunity to mark your members and their participation and how much they contributed to all the group work. But yeah, we're going to make a separate video about peer assessment reviews and just my personal perspective about that. Another point that I wanted to make is, the earlier the internal deadline, the better. And what I mean by internal deadline is, of course, there is a final due date for the group project that the lecturer has set. So for example, the lecturer will say, this group project is due on the 19th of September. But there are going to be internal submissions as well. So for example, the group members will come together and say, okay guys, let's all submit our sections by the 10th of September, so that someone can get all those sections, combine them, and there can be someone else that edits them, so that when the 19th of September comes, everything is combined, student numbers are on the document, there's a table of contents, bibliography, etc., all those things. And sometimes it can feel like an inconvenience, especially when there are other more pressing matters or you have other deadlines already. So for example, I remember third year, first semester was such a busy semester. There were modules that had so many deadlines, so many assignments, so many submissions, that it always felt like an internal submission or an internal deadline with group work could be something that could be postponed. No, it's just something that we can push to the side, and then 2 weeks before the deadline we can deal with it. But it was so helpful to have earlier deadlines, because when that final due date did come, things were sorted out. Remember that when you're working in a group, there's quite a few people, and people sometimes submit late or they submit the incorrect things. But it's better to have that internal deadline be early, so that you have time to fix those things, so that you have time to fix mistakes that need to be fixed, or to get a submission from someone who's running slightly late, or to fix the bibliography, or to meet with the lecturer in order to address certain concerns. Always leave room for error, basically. But yeah, that's just to say, I know deadlines can feel like an inconvenience, especially with group work, but in the end, they really are helpful things. Alright, so that's really all I have for this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the week where we speak about other aspects of group work, about the types of people that we meet in groups and how to embrace them, how to utilize the best things of each personality type and traits. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for spending your time here, and